incredible poem. Normally by this point you would have seen more of my co-host, Stefan Reichert, who's here. Stefan edits Smartish Pace magazine, which if you have not seen it, I could not recommend more highly. In fact, our featured reader up next has published poems there, so I think if that's a pretty happy calling card in itself. Joseph J Capista is the author of Intrusive Beauty, selected by Beth Ann Fennelly for Ohio University Press's 2018 Hollis Summers Poetry Prize. His poems have appeared in every magazine, including Smartish Pace and Poetry Daily, Slate, amazing publications. He's also written for the Baltimore Sun. Take that, you banner stringers, somebody will. He's received awards from Bread Loaf, Sewanee Writers Conference, the Maryland State Arts Council, and the National Endowment for the Humanities. His MFA was awarded from Warren Wilson College, and he lives in Baltimore, where he has for a long time, with his spouse, where they raised their daughters, and he teaches creative writing and expository writing at Towson University. So delighted that he can be with us today. Joseph J. Capista.
Crystal itch, adrift amid summer swimmers, votary of tidal pull and current flux. You're such symmetric velvet dazzle, such quizzing glass, such ancient inauspicious kisser pulsing now. These shallows shimmer elegance in sea alone. Bloom rococo blooms, swarm deluxe swarms, luminous in galaxies as skull swung dreams. My tangled, tentacled excess, my ambient approximate, my appraisal of that space between possible and possibility. O pellucid Medusa, O bijou, O gorgeous misnomer. The name of that poem is Jellyfish. Thanks everyone for being here today in this season of merry mayhem. Thanks to Stefan and David and Clare and the Smartish Pace crew. Thanks for being here in the audience. And thanks to the readers. It's been terrific so far. It's been wonderful. Thank you to Bird and Hand. And thank you to Moira for being here. No, Moira, when David emailed me and said, hey, would you care to read? We'd love to have you. Sort of by the way, we'll be reading with Moira Egan. I was like, Moira Egan? Like exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. I was absolutely, and I was so excited about that. For two reasons. One, her work is amazing. If you haven't read Synesthesium, it's this lush tour de force. It's available or at the register. And secondly, I was really excited to read with Moira because her forename is near and dear to me. My oldest daughter, Moira, is named Moira. So it's probably one of the names I say most in my life. So this is great to meet you and to be here with you today. I'm going to read a couple old poems, from Intrusive Beauty. Speaking of Moira's, the next poem is a dangerous daughter poem, as we've sort of heard. And I thought I'd read it because my daughter Moira makes a cameo in it, right? The poem opens with an epigraph by Judith Farr, who wrote a book called The Gardens of Emily Dickinson. The epigraph is, while her poems kept flowers alive in every season, Dickinson's uncommon conservatory attempted the same miracle. And many of you probably know Dickinson had a conservatory, a little greenhouse built off the side of her house, and she'd stay up late at night tending those fires in the freezing Amherst winter to keep those flowers alive. And somewhere in there's got to be like a metaphor, right? So the title of this poem is called For a Daughter. As I recite your little song about the frost-beheaded flower, Miss Dickinson, my daughter, sleeps. I steep a boiled baby towel, then wrap these ice-stopped water lines beside the basement window pane, shivered by our sycamore. Droplets, scalding, trace my veins. At 2 o'clock, she'll wake to nurse. I watched her wedge her arm between the crib's white slats tonight as if she couldn't help but touch the world. In Amherst once, Miss Dickinson, a docent scolded me because I touched your cradle. Your dress? Scrap, she said, for kitchen rags. Steam blossomed from this tepid pot, unfurled against the joist, then left the dew that moistens dust along our rotted sill and clouded glass. Outside seeps a little more inside. In frail moments such as these, the ones I finally talk to God and know, no matter what I say or do, the world will always be the cruelest example of itself. It's really you I'm talking to. My daughter sleeps, Miss Dickinson. Her fontanelle beats heaven's time. I knock on copper, wait, then run the tap, but nothing inside moves. Now everything feels cooler, cold. I think of you, awake at dusk, staring blackness down from gray to powder blue. Your greenhouse door with death to keep each iris, daisy, bourbon rose from winter's hand. I see my breath. Before my daughter wakes, Miss Dickinson, I think of you, that moment you kindled in your house of glass fire. Loved well, it bloomed. The beautiful things of the earth become more dear as they elude pursuit. Stole the title from Hardy. In the poem, I should say this. If anyone here has ever surfed before, you've been surfing, it's one of the things, you see it on TV, you see it on a commercial, you think it's sheer elegance, it's beauty, it's effortless. But anyone who's ever done it knows it's a lot of work, right? You're constantly paddling out, getting hit by whitewater, getting pushed back to the shore. Think you're almost at the break, and you open your mouth and it's filled again with whatever's in the ocean, all kinds of stuff. You spit it out and you keep paddling, and but when you finally get that wave, it's sort of worth it, I think. So this poem kind of has to do with that. The beautiful things of the earth become more dear as they elude pursuit. Another wave rolls over me before I clear its crest. I haven't surfed since June. Foam lifts me, holds me, sings me back toward shore. Sunrise grows a little smaller, further away. I'm sheathed in leaky neoprene. Another wave rolls over me before I catch, then lose my breath. The atmosphere and sea gleam of mica lent their pinks and greens. Foam lifts me, holds me, sings me back toward shore as something flickers in a distant trough. lit wind-blown water droplets, jewels, they shine. Another wave rolls over me. Before my eyes, a distant skimmer mirrors and spears a silver side. It's gorgeous, then it's gone. Foam lifts me, holds me, sings me back toward shore. Your poem, said Danny, needs more beauty, more. I paddle, touch the water to touch sun. Another wave rolls over me before I'm lifted, held. I'm sung right back to shore. The poet was Danny Anderson, or Daniel Anderson. Some of you probably know him, so anyways, good workshop comment from Danny. Or explain the poem, right? Wanted to read a couple new poems next, right? So jump into that. First one's called Celestial Navigation Made Easy. You know, when you're trying to figure out which poems to read to an audience for the first time, you think to yourself, okay, who's going to be there and who's going to sort of be interested in maybe some of this work? So when I was going through my work, I was like, all right, the new work. I thought, okay, this poem has a line about ancient Romans eating songbirds. And so I thought to myself, golly, who better is going to appreciate that than Moira Egan? So hence the choice. so celestial navigation made easy. Some days the wind doesn't want your caution. Some days God comes like night in the thief. Some days when I see a woman with a cigarette in one hand and a baby in the other, I think to myself, I really want a cigarette. Some days you retrofit your dreams to suit your very life. Some days you see so clearly Patty Kirkman's Elvis staring down at you. That poster of him in his pinwheel jumpsuit framed above her pea green hot point. Some days questions of high art and low art are resolved by asking yourself whether you'd prefer that piece embroidered on your socks. Some days macerating strawberries in the bowl resemble no one's heart. Some days Romans lost songbirds from between their teeth. Some days, nail by nail, you dismember the firmament. Some days you light a votive for St. Francis Picabia, then pray his intercession may help you enter what others deem heaven. Picabia, who, as a boy, copied 5 Spanish paintings from his grandfather's collection, reframed and rehung each imitation, then peddled the originals for rare postage stamps. Some days, protecting your child from the world means protecting them from you. Some days, life's grammar is love. Mostly, though, it's time. Mostly, I have learned that I am bad at others. All we ever have, I tell errant bees, is all we ever have. Sometimes the bridge is made of a river. Sometimes night reveals exactly where you aren't. Look up, red sky ahead, wrong stars. Thanks to Wayne Miller, I should say, for finding a home for that in Coppernickel. It was generous. The next poem is also a stolen title poem. The poem it comes from is by Russell Anson. It's called Antimatter. I don't know if anyone knows it. It's on the other side of the mirror, there's an inverse world where the insane go sane, where bones climb out of the earth and recede to the first slime of love. And so, it plays with this idea, if the world is reversed in the mirror, let's sort of imagine that world. What does that world hold for us? And so this sort of just riffs off that. It takes the first line of the poem and goes from there. So on the other side of the world, on the other side of the mirror, there's an inverse world where pearls are making oysters and smog is making cars. Dust decays to people. Surf waxed on beads in perfect bars. A sea wets bottle bits to shards as flowers wilt to bloom, and butterflies emerge as worms from their succinct cocoons. Nurses mend each tender cord so no babe leaves its mother, and grief is for what hasn't happened and known only to lovers. Of course, the rich are growing poor. Of course, death is making life. Of course, this deepening darkness is the source of all our light. Of course, our prayers are answers, and forgiveness begets sin. Of course, our fates foresee the stars, and you and I are one. And Adam Vines picked that up for Birmingham Poetry Review, so I know he's been a reader here, so I appreciate that for him. I'll read two more. One I didn't expect to read, so give this a whirl. And all these poems are new. Like I've never read them. Like I've read them to the mirror, right? I've read them like to myself. So it's always really exciting. So thank you for being such an attentive audience. Grief is such a strange animal, isn't it? It's something that you don't even know it's there a lot of times. Then it's there, and then that's the only thing that's there. And then it goes away and comes back, right? So this just is a meditation on grief to some extent. The title of the poem is Qualifying Life Events. How I love the bandage's red string. It is not the dream of pulling my veins from my own forearm. It is not another ceasefire weekend. Objects lighten in the eye as they recede through space and time. But I still have that mix you made me of the songs that come right before my very favorite songs. Guess that was us. Guess now that you are gone, I feel closest to God, but I'm watching Wheel of Fortune reruns. Doctrine, as a rule, begins in blasphemy. Think everyone was cool right off the bat with Saint Simeon on his pillar. Just as 3 slices yield 4 quarters, action and outcome rarely align with commensurate precision, which makes pretty much everything we undertake a nascent white-hot blunder. Confetti is strewn throughout the stairwell. It's been there for years. When I dump the sharpener's colored pencil shavings beside the drawing, it is they that become the primary focal point. Regret nothing, lament everything. But no one at the circus ever thinks that dude looping his motorcycle inside the steel cage on ringmaster bills the globe of death is a mere postulation of Newtonian physics. No one thinks that grief is a night sky filled with radiant wrong suns. No one thinks, especially you, that when you're lifted on the shield, the crow's black wing will turn resplendent tones of ochre, azure, citrine, taupe, and umber, like those Hans Memling depicted on a coterie of vocalizing angels back in the 15th century, whose cheeks, let's admit it, don't hold a single hot drop of blood, whose throats incant a song they, merely immortal, will never understand. I feel really lucky that piece snuck its way into the Gettysburg Review before they shut their doors, and so I just feel I'm so torn about that. Thank God, jeez. I thought they finally accepted one, incredible, and then the next day it's like, by the way, we're closing. I was like, oh my gosh.
There was no causality there.
Causation or correlation, David? I don't know. I'm stuck. So, one more poem. The title of this poem is Myth, and it got picked up at the South Dakota Review and then found its way onto Poetry Daily a little bit earlier in the fall. So I thought I'd give it a shot here. Thanks to Leanne Roypaw for helping find this one at home. Myth. Across a thin ribbon of sky, which is, of course, the river, a child pits a bowl of olives with a bone-handled paring knife. Its blade is wetted too thin. It holds everyone's reflection but her own. She is 8. Off with your finger, she says. to no one, then lops off a tip, pinches its skin, and extracts with her teeth the olive pit, which she spits into another bowl. 3 bowls in all, one for what is hard, one for what is soft, and one for what remains untouched. From the hook she is lifted, draped along her neck, and tied at the small hollow of her back, the night. Clock upon clock upon clock. Still, who is prepared for this moment? If you want to hear better, close your eyes, she says. If you want to hear better, cover your ears. Each olive in the yellow bowl is black. Lining the river bridge are houses identical to this house. Windows on one side hold the world, but windows on the other side hold the world. She counts sparrows on rat lines. When you stop dreaming of ghosts, she explains, then you have become a ghost. When she dreams, the olives in her dreams are green. Thank you.